Theories of achievement motivation. Last theory, achievement goal theory, or we call it AGT, which determines person's achievement motivation orientation up here. So we learned one theory related to level, and then another theory related to style. Now last one about orientations, goal orientations or achievement goal orientations. That's what we're going to learn. So achievement goal theory, as you can see, it's pretty complex, and you will see dispositions and climate together. So this theory really emphasized the role of dispositional motivational goals and the perceived goal structure, which is climate, to understand the people's motivational processes in achievement settings. And it really is assumed that there are two predominant goal perspectives, that is a task orientation, ego orientation, and a perceived motivational climate that was created by leaders, which called ego involving climate or task involving climate. So we're going to start with task ego orientation dispositions, and then we move down to the climate. This disposition, what that disposition means, again, it is a typical responses in the personality structure, which means it's your tendency which you developed over time, became more stable characteristics and trait which can be changed over time. Again, it's similar to attributional style. So first, task orientation and ego orientations. These two goals are differentiated, two dimensions are differentiated based on their individuals' underlying perception of a success and a perceived ability. So when they are asked when they feel successful and doing well, which is their confidence level, task-oriented people with a high task orientation rely on self-reference the concept of success and competence. So they feel successful in doing well when they are improving, not winning over other people, and doing better than last time, getting better every time. They feel successful and doing well. Because of that, people with task orientation tend to focus on learning, improving their performance, and mastering task. So, task-oriented people feel successful and confident when they are learning something that is fun to do, when they are working really hard to improve, and the skill that they're learning, it feels right. I'm doing right. Then they feel good, successful, confident. That's their definition. On the other hand, ego orientation, people with high ego orientation, when they are asked when they feel successful and doing well, they use what? Social comparisons. So they compare their performance to other people's, and they feel successful and doing well when they are better than other people. So because of that, they tend to focus where? Demonstrating their superiority to other people around them. Usually, they feel successful and doing well again when they can do better than others, and others mess up and they don't, or they are the only ones who can do the job or skill, and then that's the way when they feel like successful and doing well. And they did research to see how their goal orientations are connecting with ABCs, like their affects, behaviors, and cognitive processes. Here we go. This is what they found. This is not all, but these are some summaries of their ABCs. So those who have a high task orientation tend to exert consistent high effort. No matter what, their goal is improving. So they put their best effort to improve each time. They like a challenging task. They tended to choose a challenging task or skills because that's the way they can improve their performance. They persist even when things are not going out well, adopting healthy coping strategies. They report less performance worries and thoughts. Yes, they worry, but not that much. What they're worrying is their improvement. So their level of cognitive anxiety is somewhat lower than ego-oriented people. They tend to overall demonstrate high performance, and they value effort and working hard as determinants of their success. If they succeed well, and when they're asked why they did well, attribution theory attached here, they say what? Because they worked hard. Then also, like earlier I said, they use conducive and healthy coping strategies to deal with unfavorable situations and stress, and they demonstrate good sports personship when they participate in sports. On the other hand, the ego-oriented people, they put effort. How much? As high as necessary to be better than other people. They tend to pick easy and difficult tasks. Easy task to guarantee their success, or difficult task so that they have a good excuse. No one could do it, and I cannot do it either. Kind of excuses. They also sacrifice learning opportunity over demonstrating superiority to others. So as long as they win their competitors, they're fine. They tend to impair and discontinue performance when things are not going well, because they know they're not going to win and then walk away from it, or impair the self-handicapping. I got sick, or I ate something wrong and I cannot do it because of external reasons, and that's the ego orientation. They tended to report a higher level of cognitive anxiety and performance worries, because it's not about my performance. I have to look at other people's performance too to be successful and feeling good and I'm doing well, right? So they have to worry a lot of things, not only their own but surroundings. That's why they tended to report a high level of cognitive anxieties and worries. They perform less well in under evaluative situation, because they know somebody is evaluating, that elevate their what the worries and cognitive anxiety, because they want to be the best, and that doesn't happen all the time. So that's the case. And they devalue effort and working hard, because working hard is for those who do not have talent, and that's their belief system. So, task and ego orientation in sports questionnaire. I posted an island. So, what I want you to do, I want you to fill it out. Okay, and there is activity that you will need to do. So, fill out the questionnaire, total of 13 items. And then, when you fill that out questionnaire, and then add all the your responses. First, task orientation question number 2, 5, 7, 8, all the way 13. Add your response scores together and divide by 7, which is the total number of questions. For ego orientation, then I want you to really add question numbers 1, 3, 4, 6, 9, 11, your response in a 1 to 5 scale, add them up, divide by total number of questions, which is 6. Then see what number you get. Once you have that number, I want you to go to this Task and Ego Orientation class goal profile link in Island and enter your number. So I did that. Mistake here for task orientation. Ego orientation is a little bit high for me to put your two numbers average. Then you see yours will popping up somewhere around in this grade. Have fun. Go ahead and do it, and then come back to the lecture. Did you do it? Once you do it, then you will see your different levels of task orientation, ego orientation. You will see yours falling in one of these, the grid. So 4 different types of goal orientations, not just one. What is the main combination of task orientation and ego orientation? Yeah, that's the next slide. Task orientation and ego orientations are not in the continuum. So task orientation means you don't have ego orientation. Having ego orientation, that doesn't mean that you do not have a task orientation. It's independent characteristics. So you could have a both high or one high, one low, but you could have a both of them as your personality tendency and dispositions. That is called orthogonal relationship. Again, what that orthogonal relationship means, task orientation, ego orientations are independent concept. You can have a combination of those two goal orientations. That's called profile. So once again, I brought the grid into the PowerPoint. You will see high, low, which means conventionally we start with the task orientation first, and then ego orientation. So high, low means this is a true task orientation, but you have a little bit of ego orientation there. That's fine. This is a true task orientation. Low, high. Low is a task. Conventionally start with the task orientation. And then high, ego orientation. This is a true ego orientation, but you have a little bit features of task orientation. You could have, like mine, I actually fell in here too, both high. And then they have both low. Okay, so we learned about high task orientation here and high ego orientation in research findings, right? But who are they, this high? This research, this concept, this theory was conceptualized first in educational psychology targeting classroom setting. But when they applied this concept into the sports setting, we found a bunch of high because the sports itself is competitive. Participating in sports itself, you got to see other people to determine whether you're successful or not, whether you're doing well or not, right? So by the environment, like because of the surroundings in sports, people develop both high. So question is, if you have both high, are they healthy in terms of their ABC experiences, like high task orientation? Of course, they did research. I was one of those. End up doing the research with sports participants who are holding high. Guess what we found? Those who have both high shares similar characteristics with high task-oriented people. So the Dr. Nichols said, as long as you have a high task orientation, having high ego orientation doesn't hurt them. That's what he emphasized. And then another group that we haven't touched on is both low. Who are they? And there was a further research. I found a lot of them, both low from Korean sample when I did research with the Korean Division 1 level athletes. And my colleague who actually does research in Taiwan found a lot of them and both low, and they don't have a motivation. That was our first question. When I collected the data with the American sports team players at Purdue University and Ball State University when I was in Indiana, I found a bunch of both low from female athletes, particularly female tennis players, female track runners and jumpers and throwers like that. And we were both like perplexed and scratching our head. Who are they? And we started looking into this group a little bit more. Then what we found, which I'm not going deeper in this lecture, but this is the group that they don't have high ego task orientation, nor the high ego orientation, but they have a different emphasis in their achievement orientation. And that is called a third goal orientation, which I'm not going in this class, but it's called social orientation, social goal orientation. As I feel successful when I am doing well with my teammates and then my team players, not by myself. And then that's the social goal orientations. So the more researchers actually went on to continue this research with the social goal orientation. So in this research, in this theory, having both low doesn't mean that they don't have achievement motivation. It could be potentially social goal orientations. I want to emphasize that. So we finish it at, under AGT theory, dispositional goal orientations, task orientation, ego orientation. Now we're moving to the motivational climate, because according to the AGT theorists, they are saying information about individuals' dispositional goal orientation is not good enough, because in many cases we're dealing with younger players and participants in physical activity and sports, and help them develop to foster their motivational goal orientations. So we need to look at the goal structures, the surroundings, which is created by their leaders. So they looked it into climate, task involving climate, ego involving climate, that is created by leaders. So in sports setting, who are the leaders? Coaches. So perceive the motivational climate. Perceived is my perception. Okay. Task involving climate, or textbook says mastery climate. Under this task involving climate, members, participants, followers in that climate feel that hard-working personal improvement is emphasized by the coach, and everybody feels they have important roles in the activity. Then they believe that coach emphasizes cooperative learning. On the other hand, under ego involving climate, they feel the coach is really pushing them to compete against each other, and if they make a mistake, they will get punished, and they feel only few getting attention from the coach or leader, then they are encouraged to outperform others. Also, they did research what's going on in under two different climate in terms of their ABC. So when participants perceive task involving climate, they work hard, greater effort, reported less performance worries like a task orientation. They consider mistake as a part of their learning. They show consistent performance and demonstrate high confidence, autonomy, relatedness, which is part of basic psychological needs, and use healthy coping strategies when things are not going well. On the other hand, under ego involving climate, participants try to beat others, and then they express high performance worries, and they walk away from task when things are not going well, and reported low confidence, autonomy, relatedness, or it fluctuate depending on how things go. And then they tended to use unhealthy coping strategies when things are not going well. It's like venting and screaming, or wishful thinking, or denial of what's happening. And then I posted a PMCSQ number 2, second version, that measures task and ego perceived motivational climate. This is a Dr. Glenn Roberts, who brought this concept of achievement goal theory to the sports setting in, I would say, early 80s to our field, and he's still very active in research, and he talks about key concept of achievement goal theory. So I want you to watch this video in your time. Here we go. So this is my last question to you. According to this achievement goal theory, why do people remain and continue in their activity in achievement setting when things are not going well? Why people continue when things are not going well? According to this theory, think about goal orientations and also think about perceived motivational climate. Here we go. If they have which goal orientations, they're more likely to continue even when things are not going well, because they have positive characteristics and traits. Under what climate they're more likely to continue their activities even when things are not going well?